It's my co-host, Mr. Robert Kenny. Robert, how are you, buddy?
Living the dream, but don't say cool weather in front of my daughter. She's been trying to convince me for the last 2 weeks that it's fall. I'm like, no, this isn't fall.
No, almost fell out from the weather, but it's not fall. This is Three Guys Who Love Sports. We're a show that's helped support gentlemen going through mental or physical issues, and we hope to brighten their day for an hour every week. And if we can do it, you can do it, and we hope everybody can do it and make this world a better place.
We support more and more each week.
Yes, we do.
We've had Helping One Guy. We've got the Owl Collective.
So our show is growing after a year here, and
speaking of the support that Miller's been giving us, what'd you order for dinner?
I got the Philly cheesesteak today.
All included? You got all that stuff in there?
All the stuff, yeah.
You got all the stuff?
I think I left off the mushrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, I like mushrooms. I just don't see how it fits on my steak.
Sometimes it kind of overwhelm it.
Yeah. You got the fajita, steak and chicken fajitas?
Oh, yeah. Steak and chicken fajitas. Keep all that other stuff off the side. Just give me some cheese and some lettuce. I'm good to go. And some Cholula. Gotta have some Cholula.
You gotta love your Cholula.
You gotta love a Cholula.
All right, well, we're gonna get into our show. We have a old friend back today, Mr. Ian King. Speaking of Cholulas, whatever that means.
Hey, you know what?
We'll clap for you since Larry did.
He's a happy-looking Valley guy.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the crowd. Yeah. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. The king has returned.
The king has returned, and he's here. The prodigal son has returned to tell us about what is going to happen this year in college football.
Did Jessica already take your kids home?
No, she's here.
Oh, I saw her, but she said,
Oh yeah, just enjoying some food. So.
We're going to get right into some sports today because we got a lot we're going to talk about today, mostly college football. But one of the topics we've been going through over the last almost 20 weeks is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number, and we are all the way up to number 19. And I was telling Robert earlier before we get on the air that, there were some tough decisions to make today for me.
Can I throw you under the bus, Chuck?
Yeah, go ahead and throw me the Joe Montana thing.
No, I'm not even going to get into the fact that Joe Montana only wore 19 for 3 years while he was a Kansas City Chief, so that doesn't matter.
That's say ever wore.
But that you have a lot of trouble with picking these guys.
No, the last 2 weeks I was solid.
But I mean, 17 out of 19 weeks or something like that. You're a little topsy-turvy.
Yeah, you're probably right. But like I said, I'll always let you try to convince me to say, Chuck, you ought to pick this guy. So.
And I understand that. when the first time you ever said that, I thought you were saying, like, I'll see if you can change my mind. But you had no opinion on the subject. You were just, soaking it in.
Soaking it in. There you go. All right. So, Ian, how about for you, buddy?
All right. Greatest athlete to ever wear the number 19. Just out of sheer performance and consistency is Tony Gwynn for me. That's the greatest hitter of all time in the modern era of baseball, and Tony Gwynn is my number one for number 19. I think a close second is Johnny Unitas just because of all the folklore that goes along with him. However,
absolutely,
Johnny U.
However, being an 80s baby, I've never been able to
grasp Johnny.
Yeah.
Well, he did have like 10 Pro Bowls, 5 first-time All-Pro, 3-time AP NFL MVP, 3 times National Football Champion, 1-time Super Bowl champ, and he is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Well, he won. He only won one championship, but that was the
Super Bowl.
The 58. Well, he wasn't the quarterback though when they won the Super Bowl. He was on that roster, but he was incredible. Out of all the old players that I don't know, like you're saying, you just kind of watch. He always looks weird in his jersey. You see Johnny U.
He did.
Everybody else kind of fits the uniform no matter what sport. He always just kind of looked weird to me.
I met him at the BWI airport one time, and it kills me that I didn't have a picture made with him or got his autograph or something, but he was just at a gate. And I said, "Hey, Mr. Unitas," and he said, "Hi," and that was about it.
Hey, Johnny U.
Back then, that was pre-cell phone. They didn't do hieroglyphics then. for each other.
No caricature drawers.
No caricature drawers at
Hey,
BWI.
can I get a quick drawing of the two of us? Hold on a second.
Hold on 10 minutes.
Let me get a new piece of paper. This will be $12 because there's two of you.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you're a Johnny U pick.
I'm not. I'm going with the all-time assist leader from San Diego State University basketball.
Well, you know what? This is pretty crazy because we have a three-way tie. I'm Tony Gwynn, too.
There you go. I mean, the guy is still the all-time assist leader at a basketball school. That's pretty impressive.
Well, he was quite the basketball. He led them in assists for his career. Still the leading.
Still
leading
the
assist.
all-time leading assist guy. I mean,
So-
that's saying something. And, I'm a lover of big baseball records, 500 home runs, 3,000 hits, 400. It's only one time in the last, since 1941, what's the quick math on that, 82 years? One time in 82 years we've been within 10 points. And it was Tony Gwynn of the strike year.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. He's a phenomenal player, as Ian made a point to. I think he's the greatest hitter of all time. I really do.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. That All-Star game in 1994 during that strike year, where Fred McGriff hit the walk-off winning run, but Tony Gwynn was the guy on base that he brought in.
Right. And you had to hit it far because Tony Gwynn wasn't going to run very fast.
No, he was not.
but yeah, I mean, just not worried. That old commercial with Maddox and Glavine where chicks dig the long ball. You know, Tony Gwynn was not worried about any of that. It was like, just going to put this one right over the second baseman's head, this one right over the third baseman.
Well, it was until he met Ted Williams and he learned to hit to the opposite field, is what he said. Met him in '92, I think.
Yeah, well, he's being a little humble because by the time he met him in '92, if '92 is the correct year, he had already led baseball in hits 5 times.
Yeah.
So I think he knew how to go oppo taco.
Yeah, Oppo Taco, yeah.
Oppo taco.
But again, it's very hard for me to pick an athlete that didn't win a national championship or in this case, the World Series or anything. But I think he stood out so much. And I forgot that he had died already.
Correct.
Of cancer in 2014 or something like that. So.
And there's one thing that we haven't mentioned that all three of us love about him. What is it? One thing.
He's a Padre?
No, he never changed teams.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That whole thing where you don't have to go, well, what year was that? What number did he wear when that team? Well,
One thing else
he's
he
a
didn't
freaking
do
Padre.
is almost never struck out.
Oh, yeah. His strikeout totals, I've got them all right here. He struck out a total of 434 times in Major League Baseball. He got 3,141 hits.
Struck out 430 times.
I mean, you start to put that in comparison of other people at that time. One time did he strike out 40 times, and he probably didn't sleep for that entire offseason.
Yeah, he was so upset.
I can't believe I'm so horrible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You have the numbers in front of you. What was his final average?
I got that.
His final average
306 or something like 309.
338.
338. That's right.
Oh, his lowest average was 309.
Yep.
He ever had.
So
338.
I saw something.
That's amazing, isn't it?
I saw something where he could, if he were to come back, in the spiritual world or
Sure.
whatever, and still continue to play and strike out for 1,000 more times and not get on base 1,000 more at bats, he would still not
Bat
be
300.
below, he would still be above 300.
And people always talk about, well, if this guy played now or if we brought him back, well, Jordan couldn't jump high enough. If Gwynn was alive, Gwynn would still probably lead the league in singles because
I would agree with
I'm
that.
not trying to do too much. I'm just going where you're throwing it and doing my thing.
Right. Well, we want to this is the opening of college football week, so we want to get some football as quickly as we can. So let's go ahead and get a commercial out of the way.
Hey, before we go to that, can I give one plea to the to all the security guards across Major League Baseball?
Specifically the ones at Coors Field?
No, all of them, because we're getting ready to leave Coors Field. Protect my MVP. What are you doing? You're letting drunk people run around and take selfies, and then he's so nice, he doesn't even push the guy away when he throws his arm around him. You know, hey, all right. Next thing you know, he's getting dropped on the field. Are you freaking kidding me?
It's usually the first guy that gets there, but the second one usually gets tackled. They all need to be taken out
Well, you know,
just to set a precedent.
I heard the guy on the radio, the Braves announcer. He said, you know, that first one, you know, you just kind of go, well, you know, he did it. The third guy who comes out, he should be bludgeoned. You know, I mean, he should leave there with less body or less blood than brain cells.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. All right.
Horrible.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get Express Lube commercial out of the way, Robert.
Express Lube. Funny, I have that right here. There are a lot of places to get your oil change in the Kennesaw area, but if you want to come in for a personal experience, then stop in at Castro Kennesaw Express Lube or Lost Mountain Express Lube. We will always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We are a true owner-operated business where you will find Brian under one of the car hoods at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy on the road for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer Castrol's products.
And thank you, Brian Bristow, Express Lube, for being a sponsor of the three guys who love sports. I got choked up. All right, so let's move on.
I thought you were just going to start
Cry or
talking like that one day.
I get choked up when I see the owner of the shop working on my car too.
No,
There you
It's
go.
very meaningful to me.
And well, you know, hey, he's keeping
Thanks,
that new.
Ian.
He's that new car warranty, keeping you going. That's nothing to sneeze at.
All right, so you know we've been doing a division of the NFL every week, talking about what the preview is for that division, or division, and we're up to the NFC West, which includes Arizona Cardinals,
What a juggernaut they are.
the Rams, and the Niners and the Seahawks. So let's start with the Cardinals.
Who didn't put 100 on them to win the Super Bowl before the season started?
Me, I didn't put 100 on them to win the Super Bowl.
That's because you ain't got an extra hundo laying around. But clearly
I
everybody
don't,
else
no.
knows that this team in Phoenix is for real.
Well, they traded away Isaiah Simmons, so
He go to Purdue.
no,
Oh.
he was their star linebacker. He went to the Giants.
All right, well, we do have some news about the Cardinals. Murray's still rehabbing from his torn ACL. So one of those teams, one of those names that it seems like he's been on every team in the country is Colt McCoy. Will probably be the starter for the Cardinals.
And there's something to be said. You might not get excited when Colt McCoy is the quarterback of your team, but being that he does make an appearance on somebody's team every year, clearly he's doing everything he's supposed to in practice and way ahead of everybody else.
They cut Colt McCoy
Today?
2 days ago.
Oh, son, they got Joshua Dobbs. That's the
that's right,
direction
they
they're
do
going.
Joshua Dobbs.
That's not good. That means they're going for the number one draft pick.
Yeah, it's
Man, go ahead and sign that one up.
the only bright spot in Arizona this year is the uniform. That's it. That's the only bright
like
spot.
the
in
uniform?
I like the uniform. I like a clean, classic look, and
Are you talking about the Reds or the white?
the both? I think they both look good.
I liked
So-
them better when they were in St. Louis.
I liked them better when they were in Chicago.
Before they were in St. Louis?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I like him the best in Arizona.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. All right, so not much hope for the Cardinals is what we're all saying.
That's pretty much what I was saying.
How about the LA Rams? Do you know they have had no first-round selection since when?
Last Rams number one overall pick.
No, just first-round selection.
Oh, good Lord. They don't even. That's bad.
2019.
2016.
That's bad when you traded away everybody. If Denver could pay attention and see what you're going to be looking like.
So, I mean, they're the team that won the Super Bowl, bought a Super Bowl for 1 year, several years ago, right? 2 or 3 years ago?
A couple
Yes.
years back.
Yeah. And I guess they've seen that. I think Matthew Stafford's the only guy left on the team from that.
But
other
did you
than
hear what
Aaron Donald.
Matthew Stafford had to say this week?
Oh, I did. That was hilarious.
I mean, he's having a hard time.
don't
He's
know how to
37.
relate to these
I can't
kids.
relate to the younger kids. So hey, let's drop some dimes and tell yeah, that's not a good look for your quarterback when you haven't had a draft pick in 7 years in the first round. That your quarterback doesn't fit in.
But they still do have Aaron Donald on defense. They've got Stafford,
Cam Akers.
and Cup, and
I think Cam
Akers.
Akers could have a really good year.
Yeah, they still have some offensive weapons out there in LA.
Well, for the division in general, the Cardinals, I think they're going to win 2 or 3 games max. That's what they're looking at until Kyler Murray comes back. If he comes back earlier in the season before week 7, they could at least get 5 wins for the year for the Cardinals. The Rams, I think the Rams are going to be in the same boat. They're going to be around 6 wins for the entire year. There's not a whole lot of hope there in Los Angeles for the Rams. On the other side of the SoFi Stadium locker room, you got the Chargers who are going to look a whole lot better. But, we're staying here on the NFC West here. And, the Rams, I don't have very much hope for at all because there's been no additions, where it matters.
Nope.
And that's between the tackles.
That's right. And then we move on to the Niners. The Niners are loaded offensively. If Brock Purdy comes back and does what he does last year, along with George Kittle and Deebo Samuel and Brian Ayuk and my main running back, Mr. Christian McCaffrey.
I took Elijah Mitchell in a couple drafts.
Did you?
Yeah, they look great on paper. And I don't know how Purdy follows up. How do you go from Mr. Irrelevant to the greatest rookie quarterback of all time to,
They sure did bolt on Trey Lance, didn't they?
I understand that because you couldn't give Trey Lance the starting job on day one, so it's a coaching thing for the locker room, so that everything else. But it's not going to be easy on Purdy to do what he did again.
That's true. Go ahead, Ian.
So, I got to tell you, I'm feeling pretty good about
Purdy good?
Pretty good about the 49ers winning that division because on paper, yes, they are backed and they are stacked just like they were last year. Purdy is recovered from the rehab, the surgery.
Is he going to start?
And he will be the starter when you come out in week 1. And so
Thank God.
when we go out there and we look at that division, throughout the course of the season, I think it's going to be more so a continuation into this season, 2023, as it was in 2022, where you're going to see Brock Purdy just doing the job, managing the game and getting the job done, and playing the quarterback position, not very flashy, but getting the job done and taking them to where it matters.
And I know
Land.
we'll talk about the Falcons next week, but I believe the same thing about Desmond Ridder. He just has to be a serviceable quarterback, be the point guard, and distribute the ball. So enough of that.
Well, but and I understand both your points, but if you're only going to get rid of the ball, if Desmond Ritter's only job is to get rid of the ball, then everybody knows that and everybody can leave him alone. He's going to have to make huge plays to open up those other things. Purdy's got so many weapons. What Deebo did 2 years ago compared to what Deebo did last year, they get somewhere in between, and McCaffrey, Mitchell, and Kittle, and Ayuk. I don't know, we'll see.
And let's not forget the most important piece of the 49ers, which is Kyle Shanahan. And Kyle Shanahan, he is going to break out some plays that you have not seen in a couple decades, from a two-set or a split backfield that we haven't seen since the 1990s.
Absolutely.
And I like that.
His coaching is unstoppable until halftime of the Super Bowl. Clearly, he's proven that one twice.
Yeah,
Yes.
He has. All right, so the last team in the NFC West is the Seahawks. They're kind of
My buddy calls them the Sea Chickens. I just
the
decided
Sea
to do
Chickens.
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that Seattle boys?
No. He wouldn't call them Sea Chickens.
Oh, okay.
He's a fan.
All right. So, like I said, the Seahawks, lots of youth. They got some talented recruits this year. They drafted Njigba from Ohio State. They got Devin Witherspoon, corner from Illinois. Geno Smith is still there. They got Lockett and Metcalf. They got a pretty talented team.
And Kenneth Walker. You didn't talk about Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth
Did
Walker
I even
is the
finish my
third.
statement before you interrupted?
Well, Robert was about to start talking.
Robert interrupts everybody. That's no way to gauge anything. They also have Charbonnet on a rookie on
Wayne
offense.
Charbonnet. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
wanted to draft him, actually.
they check a lot of boxes. It's not hard to put them as the second best team in that division pretty easily.
No, the big battle is between 3 and 4.
It is. It is. And I got a question for you. Let's just back up real quick. Will Cup and Stafford both stay healthy this whole season? And if they do, will they break NFL records? Will they have a horrible team because, last year they were on pace to have most catches ever by a single wide receiver. Do you think they'll stay healthy enough to do that?
Well, not if the young guys can't relate to a Stafford and they don't want to
I
block
can't
for him.
relate to you because you're only throwing it to that dude. That could happen.
Cooper
You're not being inclusive.
Cooper Kupp is questionable for Week 1.
He's in.
So
He's in.
I'm sure he is. I'm just saying on all the fantasy apps he's listed as questionable.
All right. So that's it for the NFC West, and we'll move on to the NFC South next week when we're going to have an all-NFL show next week. But we are now ready for Alvin Jameson and his commercial.
Hey, Alvin Jameson here, the mortgage guy. Are you looking to get pre-approved for a home loan? Or maybe you want to build a house from the ground up? Are you curious, or better yet, is your significant other on your back about making renovations in your current home? Call me. I have options for you. All self-employed individuals. Are you torn between writing off all your income or having to show your income to qualify for a house? I have a third alternative for you. Whether you're a W-2 employee, self-employed individual looking to do a purchase or pull money out of your current house, or better yet, we can't forget the investors out there. If you have that high interest rate, hard money loan and looking to refinance out of it, again, give me a call. I have options. Below are the states that I'm personally licensed in. Call me, 404-587-9033. Again, 404-587-9033. Visit the website, alvinjameson.com.
Thank you, Alvin Jameson, for sponsoring the Three Guys Who Love Sports. And, Amy Grant and Andy Williams and Johnny Mathis all sing about it's the most wonderful time of the year about Christmas. But, baby, we are here. We are here at college football, which is the most wonderful time of the year.
Baby, it's hot outside. Oh, wait, that's not how they go.
That'll work, yeah. So, very excited about college football cranking up. Notre Dame dispatched of Navy pretty quickly on Saturday over in Dublin. Did you watch any of the game?
Watched just a hair of the game. That was during my my fantasy football draft. Shout out to the Loretta. He looks good.
Hartman?
Could be the best quarterback in my lifetime that I've seen wearing the gold dome.
Other than Theismann?
Theismann technically was before my lifetime.
Oh, technically. Thanks, Robert.
Theismann for the Heisman just didn't sound right.
Yeah.
Never trust a guy who changes his last name so he can rhyme with Heisman. No, I mean he looks really good.
He did, and they got some running backs over there at Fighting Irish.
They always
School
do
too. Yeah,
they always do.
Did you watch any of the game?
I did not. Notre Dame Navy week 0. Yeah, we know what the outcome's going to be. And
Absolutely.
that's
Navy
one of those
played them pretty
matchups.
tight last year.
They do, but that's one of those matchups that you want to see in November. You want to see, the weather be a factor. You want to see Navy be able to run that triple option, run it down their throats, and take advantage of the situation in the game. But playing over in Dublin, you're not able to do that in the middle of the summertime.
Well,
So,
and to your point, just like for all Tech fans, they know, if you had a bye week before you play Tech, you're going to shut that option down. If you didn't, so, Notre Dame practices option all summer long. They're ready for that opening game. But in late October, it could have been a different story.
That's true. And, a lot of college teams are going to be relying on their quarterbacks this year. New quarterbacks. Alabama, Ohio State are all picking new quarterbacks. Hey, Robert, don't you have a trivia question about that?
Quarterbacks. I got a stump ATI question.
Goody.
Passer rating.
Okay. I like the passer rating. Passer rating's good.
Okay, so I got a question for you. What is a perfect passer rating? What's the score of a perfect passer rating for a college football
For a
game?
college football game, well, it's different than the NFL.
That is correct. I'm willing to accept either one. As you roll through this.
Personally,
Yeah.
when playing the college football video games, I've had passer ratings of like 235, which I think is higher than it's probably supposed to be. I'm gonna go
You're
with
saying you're pretty good at video games?
I'm very good at video games. I'm gonna go with 160.
Yeah, that's awful. That's horrible.
You're 1/10 right.
So for a professional quarterback,
Okay,
it's 158.3 is a perfect score. But
I was pretty good. It was a
right,
pretty
but
good
the
guess.
question
College,
was
we're
for
not talking-
college, and for college, the perfect score is 1,261. They base it off of throwing 99-yard touchdown pass every time you throw the ball. So crazy stats for them college kids. But that wouldn't have been a bad guess had I asked you about pro football.
But we didn't.
We did not.
We didn't. All right. So let's get into some college football. It's going to be a great season. We'll start out in the Pac-12. It's obviously the last season of the Pac-12.
It'll be the
Unbelievable.
Pac-4 next year.
They'll be packing to go somewhere else the next year.
Yeah, it
The
could be.
Pac-West.
There could be a Tarantino movie or something about all this stuff.
So who you got, Ian, in the West at the Pac-12?
In the Pac-12, in this final year of the Pac-12, USC I know is the big favorite, but I'm going Washington. I think Washington's going to take it. They have Michael Penix Jr. coming out as their quarterback. I think he's going to be a heavy hitter this year.
He played out there last year. He's from Indiana, right?
Correct.
Yes, he transferred from Indiana.
And he is, I think he has a very good shot at winning the Heisman this year. And so, I'm taking Washington this year, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I think that they're just going to outplay USC when it comes time, and just get a couple lucky breaks.
What are you thinking, Chuck?
I'm thinking I really want to take USC just because they got Caleb Williams back, they won the Heisman and all that stuff. But there's so many potentials out there. Utah, Oregon. I'm going to go with the Ducks.
Going with the Ducks. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you watched the USC game this week, you would have seen that they gave up 300 yards to San Jose State.
Yep.
So I wouldn't count on that USC defense. I mean, they scored 56 points.
The Pac-12 defense as a whole,
Yeah,
I
so-
think they could make one good defense if they took a couple players off of
every
each
team.
team.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd have to go with Ian. I think Washington's probably gonna.
I've got
that's
a
why I took
different
Oregon,
answer.
because I think their defense is going to be better because of Lanning.
And I'm going to go with the best defense the conference has to offer, the Utah Utes.
The Utes?
The Utes. But I will say this. I am excited. If I was going to throw a dark horse out there, it'd be DJ and
Uiagalelei?
and Oregon State Beavers.
The Beavers.
Beavers.
Here's a team who's getting ready to get left into the Pac-4, and this is probably their best shot at having a good season, regardless, in a long time. So it could be fun.
Well, let's talk about is this the last year of the Pac-12, do you think?
They're gonna have
as a
to
division?
find some teams in
I
a
mean,
hurry.
it all depends on your definition of the Pac-12, being that everybody else has jumped off. If you consider Nevada a Pac-12 team, then no, I think this is going to live on for a long time.
So maybe the San Jose States and all the Mountain West teams are going to jump to the Pac-12?
Everybody's okay with Nevada. Everybody's okay with the idea of maybe a UNLV because you're saying he's a basketball school. Soon as you clear your throat and you say San Jose State, everybody's like, I don't want any part of that conference.
Well, wasn't it Fresno State said they were going and then they said they weren't?
No, that was San Diego State.
Was it San Diego State?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's the thing. you keep hearing Berkeley and Stanford. They might be a package deal. Hey,
the ACC.
Yeah, coming to the ACC or something. So it'll be crazy. Maybe there won't be any conferences before long.
Yeah.
That's to be determined. I mean, with the revenue money, or with the TV revenue money, it's going to be a dogfight when it comes down to it at the end of the day, until there's going to be some legislation from Congress that comes down and actually regulates college football. This is going to continue to be a wild, wild west scenario, and we are going to continue to see the decimation of the conference format.
Well, so, a few years ago, everybody used to say Power 5, the Power 5 conferences, those 60 teams. Maybe it's just there's no conference anymore. It's just those 60 teams, and they're playing everybody, and and there is no SEC deal or Big Ten deal. It's just a deal for those 60 teams to play on every channel all the time, and
But the thing is, though, when you add it up, we're actually at 68 for that.
68?
68 is the number for those Power 5 schools, is 68 teams. A couple of years ago, there's 128 teams in college football. Now we have 132. Mathematically, we're just beyond the scope of going to
March Madness.
8 16-team conferences. You can't do that now because you have 132. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the factors that nobody takes into consideration is the Notre Dame factor. Being an independent, having those contracts with
NBC or whoever else.
Yeah, NBC or creating your own television network like Texas did, and having the Longhorn Network. I think that in itself is part of the reason why we're seeing the decimation of college football, because they see the revenue coming from the TV deals.
Are you saying I'm wrong when I blame West Virginia for all of this when they joined the Big 12, and you're saying the real reason for all this anarchy is Notre Dame sticking their nose up in the air for so many years and demanding their own deal?
Well, I would say Notre Dame and Texas.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So where does this leave the Big East? Because obviously the Big East is great at basketball, but they don't exist in football.
Which is why this is all going to go crazy, because you're still, even after all of this power struggle for football, you've got great basketball, whether it be UNLV, San Diego State, all these fringe outliers that as we've seen many times, they can win a title. So all bets are off. I have no freaking clue.
Well,
no clue.
So we mentioned Texas. Let's move on to the Big 12.
Yeah. So for the Big 12, Texas is my go-to for this year. The fact that they have
Manning or Ewers.
Yeah, they have
Ewers
coming back. And also more importantly, they have all 5 offensive linemen coming back, and between the tackles is where it matters. And so to have that performance on the field, I think Texas is going to run away with the Big 12, by season's end. They'll have a few losses, probably miss the playoff, but they'll win the Big 12.
I'm with them. I think they'll lose games. I don't think they'll be invited to the final dance. And I like the Longhorns too. This year, absolutely. Yeah, next year everybody gets invited
All
to
bets
the new
are
dance.
off.
But yeah, I think the Longhorns, as Ian said, with a solid offensive line and a pass-heavy league, anybody who's a real big run stopper, they go to the SEC to play, so they don't have anything to stop that big Texas offensive line. I think they'll run it down a lot of people's throats out there.
Yeah, me too. But if you were allowed a sleeper, am I allowed to pick one for the Big 12?
Are you going to say Kansas? Am I going to have to hear
Absolutely.
about Kansas all day
Absolutely.
here?
Hey, everybody
Lord
picked
have
them to
mercy.
win 1 or 2 games last year. How many did they win?
7?
6.
Not enough for you to win money. You
no,
came close.
Yeah, I came close, but it was
But
close.
you don't win any money.
But they still got Jalen. I was gonna mix up. They got one Jalen in LSU and one in in Kansas. But still got him. Still got the running backs. If they can play some defense, they averaged 35.5 points a game last year, giving up D points. But if they can score, they could be a sleeper to make the Big 12 finals. I don't think they'll win, but
I think it'll be TCU. I mean, it's never Texas's year, even though they always say it's Texas's year.
It's supposed to be Texas every year. Texas has so much more money. When you think about what Alabama can do as far as building a weight room, or what Penn State can do by building a new practice facility or doing this. Everybody's got less money than Texas. Texas prints their own money, so they're supposed to win these games.
TCU lost Duggan and they lost their running back, but it's still
Kendre Miller.
They didn't need the star players that Texas was supposed to have last year to make the college football playoff, and I think we'll see that again this year.
All right, let's move on to the ACC.
My last bit of advice for all Texas fans, make sure your phone is charged so that if they do hold up a trophy at this end of the year, you get to take a lot of pictures because it might be a long time before they hold up another trophy.
Moving to the SEC, is that what you're saying?
That could be exactly
All
what
right,
I was saying.
ACC, I'll start this one off. I think Clemson's back. I think this is Clemson's year. Always have a good defense. I think their offense is back and will win the ACC.
Clemson is the only team in the ACC, so I guess I'll pick Clemson.
I don't know. FSU is going to be good.
LSU's a little worried about another team
FSU
right
and
now.
LSU is going to be a very good game Sunday.
FSU was good last year, but they weren't great. Clemson has Dabo Swinney, and Dabo Swinney makes him great.
Doggone it.
Doggone it.
Doggone it. Here's the thing. So looking at that first week matchup between FSU and LSU, I think that's going to dictate a lot for each team for the rest of the season.
And talking points for everybody all season.
And so if FSU is able to come out on that game, I think FSU has a legitimate shot of being the ACC champion this year, winning the Coastal Division.
There are no divisions this year.
There is no division anymore. So winning the ACC. However, though, on the flip side, I think if LSU wins, there's a good shot that LSU is going to have at least one loss and go to the SEC championship game and be there for here in Atlanta when we get to December. But
it's going to be very tough for LSU to lose this first game and make it to the tournament because they probably will lose one more SEC game.
You're right, absolutely correct.
So that's why I'm going Clemson. I think LSU has a better shot of winning the West than FSU does of winning the ACC. So Clemson it is, and that's who I'm sticking with. I think Dabo is just a hell of a coach, and you really do not see anybody else in the NCAA that is running a program as well as he is, even having the down years that he has had. So
I don't know how long he's been down. I mean, DJ might not have taken him to the promised land like the previous couple quarterbacks, but at the end of the day, that team didn't fall very far, and I'm very excited about this game this weekend. I think you guys both touched on some big points. You only get the Goliaths to go head to head. So if LSU loses this game, then all of a sudden that's going to be Big Ten talking right. You guys couldn't even be the ACC teams. It just keeps filtering down. So it's a massive game. I don't know how Florida State wins it, but I'll be interested.
It's
in
at Tallahassee too, right?
I think it is. Well, it was in New Orleans last year.
Yeah, I was thinking. I'm thinking you're right.
It's at FSU. Yeah.
Doak Campbell.
Doak Campbell.
I'm going Clemson too, just without the caveat that they're back, because I don't think they actually fell very far. And
they didn't fall far. Everybody says Alabama fell, but they didn't. They lost 2 games by 2 or 3 points, right? Mm-hmm. So they didn't fall. They just didn't make the playoffs last year.
That's it.
Speaking of Bama, well, let's move to the SEC. Boy, it's going to be a tough one. Big game in the SEC tomorrow night already. Utah travels to Florida, right?
Which is another.
No, Florida goes to Utah, I think.
That's correct. And going back to my Utah pick, if Florida blows that one up, then all of a sudden, no matter what happens in the pack, everybody's going to go, you guys couldn't even beat the Gators. So huge game. I'm going to the Tide, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. For my conference champion.
Alabama's got a lot of quarterback questions. I mean, they got
They
Milroe. Milroe played okay
good.
last year,
He's
not
not good.
great. They got the backup from Notre Dame last year. They have an incoming freshman. Obviously, Georgia also has quarterback questions. I mean, Carson Beck, and then they've got a freshman. So I think I got to go with LSU and Deontay Johnson. I mean, I think the experience is really just going to win out. And I mean, the rest of the LSU coaches won national championships in their second year, and I don't doubt that Chip Kelly could do the same.
There was just 2, not the rest of the coaches at
Everyone who's ever coached there
in the second year
has dominated in their second season.
The only 2 other LSU coaches that matter.
The women's basketball coach and the baseball team.
Yeah,
right?
because the men's basketball coach doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right, Ian, how about you, buddy?
I'm going Georgia.
Yeah,
as
I
much
knew
as,
somebody would.
As much as it pains me to say it, Georgia, they are the dominating force here in the SEC.
And their cupcake schedule.
Yeah, they have the easiest schedule. Their in-state rivalry is pretty imbalanced right now, thanks to Tech's downfalls and woes recently.
And they couldn't play Oklahoma like they had originally scheduled.
Yep.
Yeah.
Couldn't play Oklahoma, so they have a very weak schedule coming up. And I honestly think that they're it. I mean, I think they're going to actually have a very realistic shot at having a three-peat.
I don't believe that. I think they'll win the East. I think it's weak over there in the East.
Is it a one-loss team that wins the East?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you gonna pick Tennessee and Joe the Cannon Milton?
I am not. I think the most important game in the SEC this year is the game, I think I mentioned it last week, is LSU and Alabama in Tuscaloosa. If LSU wins that game, they win the West, they win the SEC, and they very well could win the national championship. Jalen Daniels is a quarterback in LSU, right? And I think because not all of what Adam said, but about being the second-year thing, they got a shot. They got a good ball club.
They got a good coach, and they've always had a lot of people on that roster.
Yeah. So if I had to pick somebody now,
I think you just did.
I said if they beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I didn't say they will.
I know, but you're really wishing for that to happen.
Yeah, but then again, I've become a Saban fan. I didn't really like him a lot, like Bill Belichick. I didn't like Bill Belichick, but I've gained a great respect for him and what he does.
Hate the game, respect the player.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna have to go with you, Robert. I'm gonna have to take Alabama. But like I said, the Alabama LSU game is the key game this year in the SEC. So
I think you're correct on that in terms of who's coming out of the West, but in the East, you have Tennessee being the only matchup that could be a threat to Georgia, and I think
that's
it's
at
just,
Tennessee too, right?
Yep, it is, and that's it. I mean, that's the only question mark that Georgia can possibly have on the schedule.
They can always
think
lay
Florida?
a big egg versus. Well, they can always lose to Florida, and they can always lay an egg versus South Carolina. South Carolina actually has a quarterback this year, but we'll see what
Vandy
happens.
won their game the other night.
Yeah, but they were playing Hawaii.
Hawaii but Hawaii beats the spread, which was pretty wild. So
Not that he's a gambling degenerate, folks. He just so happened to know that number.
just the tub. We're starting our tub next week. It's been 17 weeks since I've won a week in the tub. So Chuck's picks are not up to par for the last couple of years, but we'll get there.
So Final Four, and who do you guys got?
Well, we
Wait,
still
the
got the
Big Ten.
We still got the Big Ten.
Oh, I thought we
the
were going to
most
skip over
important
that
conference
for
of
these
them
guys.
all.
That's right. Go Ian. We'll let you go first, buddy.
Yeah. Look, I know that everybody is saying Ohio State or Michigan. That's where all the critics are at. But I'm going with the dark horse. I'm going with my homer pick, Penn State. We're coming out. We have a defense that is going to stop teams, that's able to stop just about anybody in the country, and an actual quarterback now. Now it's the question of, hey, James Franklin, can you develop a quarterback? Or are we going to continue to go down this path of, how they get there at Penn State is however good they will ever be, because we're not developing them. The Christian Hackenberg effect is always going to be in my mind, because seeing him mature throughout Bill O'Brien's tenure there in those first 2 years versus the James Franklin regression that we saw, that's what I'm thinking of every time I think of a quarterback at Penn State is Christian Hackenberg versus the Sean Clifford, because Sean Clifford yeah, he had the tenacity, he had the intensity, but he doesn't have the skill set to actually get the job done, which is why he didn't get the job done. So, good on you, Sean Clifford, for being able to get drafted by the Green Bay Packers. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to that quarterback coaching, and if Penn State's actually able to coach up Drew Aller, or if he's just going to come in and play as he's talented, or his abilities able to produce. So that said, I am going to homer. I'm going to take Penn State this year to upset Ohio State and Michigan, and I think it's going to be a one-loss Penn State team. Their one loss will come to Ohio State
at the Horseshoe.
You didn't homer with Georgia Tech. What happened?
Oh, well, we got to be realistic.
Oh, realistic. At least pragmatic.
Trust is key.
All right,
Trust
Robbie,
is
you want to
key.
go or you want me to?
I'll go.
Okay.
As far as the Penn State pick, might have seen that one coming. I'm not going to lie. Tough game right out of the chute, though, with West Virginia. Old rivalry game. It's hard enough when you've got these two behemoths that keep going to the Final Four every year without doing that kind of crazy scheduling. But I'm going to go with Ohio State. They've lost to Captain Khaki 2 years in a row. I don't think that will. I don't think that'll keep happening. Sooner or later, I think they probably recruit at least a little bit better than the others. So, that game's at the Big House, though, so that'll be a tough one. But I don't see any of them coming through unscathed. I think a one-loss Ohio State team wins the Big Ten.
Okay.
So I think on one side you got Ohio State, you got Penn State, and you got Michigan, who are obviously all very good. But on the other side, you have the Luke Fickell coached Wisconsin team. And we know how well Wisconsin runs the ball and they throw the ball, and I think Wisconsin coming out of the West, as much as that pains me to say, I think Wisconsin could be a dark horse in all this. Obviously, I think it'll be like Ohio State and Wisconsin, but
is it a two-loss Wisconsin team?
No,
that
I think maybe it's only a one-loss Wisconsin
Okay.
team. I think Ohio State's big key, as much as I'm going to get grief for this, is that they're playing at Purdue, and they're 3-5 at Purdue since 2000. So I think that's outside of the Michigan game and the Penn State game. I think that's potentially a trap game that you have to survive in order to get to the Big Ten championship.
There's a lot of gamblers who've been losing sleep over that going to Lafayette.
Well,
Hey,
I
last
have,
time they went to Lafayette, they lost by 28.
On the banks of the Wabash.
So I spoke with Kyle McCord, who is the new quarterback for Ohio State, got announced yesterday. I spoke with his aunt, Carol Davis, and I said, congratulations, Kyle. She said, thank you, Chuck. He is ready, and he isn't looking back. Exciting and nerve-wracking all at the same time. So very happy for Kyle because he's a nephew of a friend. But I got to go with Michigan. I think they've got a solid quarterback. They got a great running game, and I think it's going to be a three-peat in the Big Ten for Michigan.
It could be. Ohio State's got, their three most likely their toughest games are all on the road. They're playing at Notre Dame, at Michigan, right there. That's harder than most teams can
And Notre Dame's
overcome.
going to be a good team.
Not to mention at Purdue.
All right, so real quick, let's pick our Final Four and our champion. Because we still got picks to make, and we only got 12 minutes, so we got to fly.
So, I think Big Ten, you're going to get Penn State coming out. SEC, you're going to have Georgia. I think that's going to be your matchup there. Then over in the Big 12, we said Texas is going to win, and I don't think Texas is going to go to the playoff. So you're going to looking at, an Ohio State getting in or Michigan getting in to the playoff. So it's really dependent upon what happens with that. So I'm going to go with Ohio State, as much as it pains me to say Ohio State.
All right, you got one more team.
And then that final team coming out is going to be Clemson.
All right. And who are the last two?
Whose fans are taking over the goalposts?
Oh, that's four. So I got Georgia, Penn State, Clemson,
And Ohio State.
and Ohio State.
And who wins the championship?
Oh, who's the final two?
Yeah.
It's going to be Georgia Clemson. That's who you're going to see in the.
The first game of last season.
Yep.
And you're going to pick Georgia?
Yep. Got to. Unfortunately.
All right. I'm going to go with Clemson,
Clemson.
Alabama,
Bama Lama.
Michigan,
Old Blue.
and Notre Dame.
That's where I would have gone too. I would have gone Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama,
Can I finish my 4 first?
Notre Dame. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think it's going to be Alabama and Notre Dame.
The Lord, we've all seen that game before.
Yes, we have.
The
And,
middle linebacker for Notre Dame had a fake girlfriend.
And just to be different, I'm going to take Notre Dame.
There you go. Final 4: Clemson, Bama, Ohio State, and the Dogs get in, baby. They might not win the SEC in my book. They're still getting invited to the Final 4. Championship game will be Bama and the Dogs. Rematch of the SEC championship.
We've seen that one before.
And you're going to see it twice. I'm saying you're going to see that game twice. Bama wins the first time. Dogs win the second.
So Dogs national champ.
Dogs national champs.
All right, let's get into our last commercial. American Access, so we can make our picks.
Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Access has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, bachelor or bachelorette parties, or a work outing that will have them talking at the water cooler for years, American Access, with their 3 Atlanta locations in Marietta, Tucker, and now in downtown at the Works, they've got your answer to the same old, same old. Look us up at American Access or give us a call at 678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure.
And we thank Dan Fisher for being a sponsor at American Access. And in honor of that, we will no longer pick Chuck's chumps. We will pick Chuck gives the axe to this team. And so I'm picking the losers still, but they get the axe. So it might be a little confusing,
But
but
you're
we'll get
trying
through
to
it.
pick the losers. This isn't like the tub.
No,
Dang.
I hate you.
I know.
All right, so here we go. First game of the week. We have Florida plus 6.5 at Utah.
I'm going to go with the Utes. I think
Now
Florida.
you're picking the winner, right?
I am, and I could give you a lot of reasons, but that altitude's tough, and I won't be surprised if Florida wins the game. But I'm going to go the Utes.
Excuse me. What is a Ute?
It's like an
Utes.
Indian
No, but
type of thing.
We're thinking about My Cousin Vinny. It's a movie.
I've seen that movie.
Well, that's what he was talking about. What's a Ute?
Oh, well, I was answering the question.
2 Utes.
Not the question he was asking. Though.
No.
So I'm taking Utah in this matchup. I think that they are going to cover that spread 6.5 and be happy at home.
Well, I think Utah will win, but I think Florida will cover. So Chuck gives the axe to the Utes.
To the Utes.
To the Utes, yep.
What did he say?
All right, second game. Ohio State laying 30 at Indiana.
They wish they could get that quarterback back from Washington.
Yeah.
And Ohio State's going to show you what their second-string quarterback looks like in this game. I'll take Ohio State.
Well, this is Pennick's second year at Washington, right? It's not
That's
his first.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Thanks to the COVID year.
So, so Robert, I'm sorry, y'all both took.
We both took Utah to
Utes.
win.
Okay.
Yep, and I am taking Ohio State to win the game, but I don't think that they will cover the spread of 30 points.
So you'll take Indiana.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Robert, you took Ohio State, right? Mm-hmm. I'm with Ian. 30 points is a lot for a first game. I think Ohio State's going to win, maybe by 28, but Chuck gives the axe to the Buckeyes. UNC minus 2.5 against South Carolina. This should be an interesting game.
It is an interesting
Because
game.
Spencer Rattler had a great last half of his season last year at South Carolina. But they got Drake May coming in at Carolina. So I am going to give the axe to South Carolina. I think North Carolina is going to cover. So Chuck gives the All-American axe to South Carolina.
I'm going to go. I'm going South Carolina. I think this is an important game for them. We talk about you can still make the Final Four if you lose this game out of conference and stuff. This is more about what South Carolina and the Gamecocks need to do. This is a really big game for them. I think they're going to take it.
In the Battle of the Carolinas, I'm taking UNC. Despite the fact that they have holes on their roster, I think that the quarterback play is going to be significant, and I think they're going to be able to come out and cover. They'll win slim, but they'll win by 3 at least.
All right. Then we talked about the game on Sunday night. Big game, LSU -2.5 at FSU.
I don't know if it's going to be Joe Campbell, but I'm going to go with the road team. I'm going to take them Tigers.
Thank you, Coach O.
Thank you. You know, I still have a job, and people understood more what I said.
Mike.
That is absolutely accurate. But at the same time, give me FSU. I love seeing an upset, even if it's a home field upset. Give
I'll
me
be
FSU.
rooting for FSU.
Will you really?
I will.
Yeah. I saw Tech beat them. I think it was Mike Norvell's first year of the opening game in Doak Campbell. So that was pretty cool. Actually, I'm going to go see Tech in Louisville this Friday night, so I'm excited about that.
Very cool.
Forgot to put that on here. Penn State laying 20.5 at West Virginia. Do we even need to ask?
Oh, yeah, they're covering.
Okay.
They're covering. It's at home. They're playing West Virginia. They haven't played West Virginia in almost 3 decades now.
Used to be a very big rivalry, wasn't it? Like in the
Absolutely.
70s, yeah.
In fact, I would love to see a conference realignment where you're playing regional teams and we magically have the old Big East come back to fruition, except Penn State's in it.
No, the Big Ten now, they still have divisions, right, as of this
That's
year?
correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Robert?
You know, them folks down in West Virginia, they've already been like hiding weapons on the field, get ready for this game. I'm gonna that's a lot of points for opening week, and it's not really a rivalry matchup as far as all these 18 to 22-year-olds are concerned, but I'm gonna take the Mountaineers and all those points.
The Mountaineers.
And what are the odds that somebody's going to be at State College printing out, rivalry renewed T-shirts?
Pretty high, I'm quite
Pretty
certain.
high.
2-1,
If
2-1.
you had the money, you should go up there and do it. That'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah. All right, our last game to pick is Clemson laying 13.5 at the Dukies.
They're called the Dukies for a reason. Give me the Tigers.
The Pukies.
I'm taking both sets of Tigers you gave me.
All right.
Yeah, give me Clemson. Not going to be much of a game, but it's going to be a game in name only,
Yeah.
and with the time.
So the American Axe goes to Dookie.
The Dukies.
The
getting the
Dukies,
axe.
because I actually think Clemson's going to cover too. So
Hey, I got one quick game for you guys. TCU in prime time. I've been waiting for this game for a long time. TCU is favored by 20.5 versus prime time. Prime time, he can't coach because he's having his foot operated on.
he's not even the coach.
Well, I'm saying, during the summer when all these other coaches are practicing, he's having surgeries. He can't do this, he can't do that. They're all new people who've come in. What do you guys think is going to happen in that? Is Deion going to be successful?
No.
I absolutely think Deion's going to be successful out of Colorado. I think that Colorado is going to have a more respectable year this year than they've had in the last 7 years.
Well, I think they were 1-11 last year, so
it doesn't take much.
respectable. Are they winning 6 games?
I think they're going to be bowl eligible this year.
They're
Yes.
not.
Wow.
They're not.
You
the,
heard it right here.
They're not the Kansas of. Kansas
got
made
that
it to a
right.
bowl last year.
You got that right.
And that's where I lost 6-7. And if I remember, we were here when they were playing.
That's correct.
And they were down, and they came back, and they wound up losing in overtime, I think.
That is
So
correct.
I was this close on my Kansas pick.
Man, you were so close.
So close. So we got just a minute. What do you think Tech's going to do?
Tech is going to
Bowling or not bowling?
it is going to be a battle to bowl. But I think that there's an opportunity that they're going to achieve that. I think they will be a 6-win team this year. Brent Key is going to turn that team around. And we're going to see a new rejuvenation on the flats. And we're going to see something happen down there.
I like the way you think.
That is happening in the locker room, because that camaraderie that we saw happen after they let Jeff Collins go, and how all of a sudden they went from not playing at all to playing as hard as they could.
Beating at Pittsburgh, beat at North Carolina.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see more of that under Key.
I do too.
This coming year.
I
So,
agree. So I think they're going bowling. I think 6 wins may be right, but I think they're going bowling.
I think Tech's going to be much better, but tough schedule when you're going to Mississippi, to Miami, to Clemson, and then you got Georgia hanging out at the end. Tough schedule. They're going to have to do really well in all the other games.
And it's very hard to say that Tech may be the 3rd toughest team on Georgia's schedule.
whatever helps you sleep at night.
Yeah,
Chuck.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying that's how weak Georgia's schedule is.
I knew what you were saying.
All right, so we got one more quick game. Tusculum comes to town tomorrow to play the Owls. I looked all over the place and tried to find a spread on this game and couldn't find one.
No, Vegas knows a little too much about Tusculum to offer a spread on this one.
So obviously I'm going Owls.
Oh, Owls. Yeah,
Hooty hoo.
well, Tusculum's getting the axe, though.
Tusculum is definitely getting the axe. We'll talk about that more on our second show. Ian, thanks, buddy. As always, our
absolutely.
college football expert, Ian King. And glad you have joined us today. And guys, don't forget to take care of yourselves, know your numbers, cover your ass, get your prostate checked. We'll see you next week on Three Guys Who Love Sports.
See